Yes, this budget had a positive tone and some potentially positive outlooks for the economy, but lacking in specifics, especially around energy prices for business, which I'm disappointed with, and particularly no mention of the Southwest. The big takeaway was about helping people back into the labour market, and with the skill shortage we have, that is a good thing. So I would say no shocks, no surprises, which I think is a good thing. A positive outlook that may encourage investment, but a little bit disappointing in lack of specifics and no mention of the Southwest. The Southwest was particularly absent from the budget. The investment zones all seem to have gone to the north. Although, to be fair, we have recently had the Plymouth and South Devon Freeport, which is very similar to an investment zone. It just would have been great if we could have bolted onto that and improved the areas around it. So, yes, a lot of money going to the north, but no specifically good schemes for the Southwest. So a recession is only a technical thing anyway. It's only a measure of growth or negative growth. On its own, no, that doesn't really help. But what I think it will do is perhaps encourage investment, give business confidence that the economy is in a better shape than we thought. So yes, maybe it will encourage more investment and hopefully growth.
The main tax takeaways from the Chancellor's budget today was full expensing of capital expenditure, the abolition of the super deduction that was due to expire at the end of the month from 130%, an annual investment allowance on the full £1 million, so all ended at the end of this month. It's being replaced by what the Chancellor's called full expensing, effectively as an extension of the annual exemption allowance in simple terms, but without any cap, so businesses will be able to get 100% relief on their qualifying capital expenditure, essentially expenditure on plant and machinery and equipment. Certain types of expenditure where they've previously only qualified for 50% relief, reading through some of the detail quickly afterwards, is still going to continue. Again, is positive news for businesses and is there to encourage investment and ensure that you get 25% tax relief on what you're spending. The only other real sort of big announcement around company tax and businesses is a slight extension of the research and development scheme, an increase in the amount of relief for loss-making businesses that are very intensively involved in R&D. The Chancellor's mentioned those that have qualifying spend of at least 40% of their total expenditure will now get a 24% rebate for every £100 they spend, instead of where it currently is at 18.6%. What has to be borne in mind though is that's against the backdrop where they're restricting the relief for many businesses, especially SMEs, a lot of which those changes come in from the 1st of April.
Overall, the budget was a good tone. There is a lot of positivity in there, and we're talking about that sustainability, being stable and more not growth and drop and things like that. So it was more stable and giving that confidence in industry. But what I would like to see more and hear more was when he was mentioning about the growth, and where he pointed to the point of like cutting inequalities and giving example like we have the most female entrepreneurs in Europe and having the best country to invest in. We'd like to see more of that, saying how do you do that? What does it mean in detail? So in finding an individual, I'm looking in terms of diversity. If you are moving into England and you are wanting to go into businesses and you want to bridge that gap, how do you benefit of those measures put in place to cut inequalities? What did he mean by that? Can we have more details, or is it more way of expressing it? But also, how do we celebrate a lot of that? These are quite really positive information or positive statements, but it could be more beneficial if it's more detailed and emphasizing on that one, because that's what strengthens the whole budget for everyone, when you say everywhere and everyone to be part of it.
The Chancellor did not mention business rates today, which I'm definitely not surprised about due to the swathe of measures that were introduced in the autumn budget, and most likely due to the fact that we have a national revaluation beginning in just over 2 weeks. So the lack of mention of business rates will be offering businesses some stability as we approach the revaluation.